3 years ago, on the day my parents sent me overseas for treatment, I began seeing comments that no one else could see. They floated across my vision like messages in a private live stream. The supporting character still does not know that the heroine has bound herself to a destiny-swapping system. No doctor can help her. Her judgment is being transferred to the male protagonist, while her appearance and physical health are being transferred to the heroine. The harder she studies or diets, the more she gives them. To them, she is nothing but a source to be harvested. I stared through the airport lounge window at Bai Ji and Chen Weiyang, who had come to see me off. Bai Ji wore the face and figure I had once possessed. Chen Weiyang stood beside her with the easy confidence of a man who had turned several lucky investments into a public reputation for brilliance. Until that moment, I had believed that I was suffering from an incurable illness. 3 months earlier, my weight had begun rising for no medical reason. At the same time, familiar words disappeared from my mind, my reactions slowed, and business decisions that had once come naturally became almost impossible. I froze during the song group's annual presentation and became an online joke. A button broke from my jacket during a client dinner, struck the man across the table, and helped destroy an important negotiation. Days later, I nearly stepped into traffic because I could not process the changing light quickly enough. My parents consulted specialists across the country. When conventional medicine found nothing, frightened relatives even suggested religious rituals. Nothing helped. Meanwhile, Bai Ji, a student I had sponsored, became a celebrated beauty and the public face of programs for disadvantaged university students. Chen Weiyang, my college boyfriend, entered the investment world and was praised as its newest genius. Online fans treated them as an ideal couple. My decline had funded their rise. The comments revealed one more crucial fact: every attempt I made to repair myself was redirected to them. If I studied, Chen received the insight. If I exercised or restricted my diet, Bai Ji received the benefits. That was why the system had pushed my parents to send me away. Distance would make it harder for me to notice the exchange. I felt no heartbreak as I looked at the two of them. Heartbreak required love. What remained was the cold clarity of discovering two thieves inside my home. On the outbound flight, I ordered the meal I actually wanted instead of the smallest low-fat option. The comments erupted in alarm, insisting that I should keep dieting. That reaction told me I was right. I opened a financial magazine, not to study its market analysis, but to read an interview with Professor Leon Yu, a physicist researching anomalous electromagnetic fields at an American university. If a supposedly supernatural system could move information and physical traits between people, it had to leave a measurable trace. Within a month, the Song family funded his laboratory. I did not tell him that I saw comments or that I believed my life had been stolen. I gave him medical records, neurological scans, time-stamped changes in my body, and corresponding public data about Bai Ji and Chen Weiyang. Evidence interested him more than explanations. For 3 years, I stayed abroad and stopped feeding the system. I withdrew from public investing, avoided deliberate study, ate according to hunger instead of punishing myself, and refused to chase the appearance I had lost. Professor Yu's team monitored every change. The transfers became weaker and less stable. By the time I returned home, Bai Ji and Chen Weiyang were not merely enemies. They were experimental variables in a trap they did not know existed. My assistant met me when the plane landed. "Professor Yu will join you for dinner tonight," she said. Bai Ji is holding her birthday celebration at the same hotel. Chen Weiyang is with her. "Good," I said. "Let them see me." The entrance of the Grand Horizon Hotel was crowded with reporters and wealthy guests when I arrived. Bai Ji stood at the center of the attention, dressed in silver and holding a bouquet from Chen. Both of them froze when they saw me. Her surprise lasted less than a second. Then she hurried forward with a sweet, concerned smile. "Qingli, you are finally home. How have you been? You look healthy, but please do not try any extreme diets again. We were all so worried when you collapsed." The concern was designed for the crowd, not for me. Within moments, people were whispering about the humiliations that had driven the song heiress overseas. Is that the woman who froze during her own company's presentation? I thought 3 years abroad would have changed her more. Baiji is kind to welcome her after everything. Baiji reached for my hand. I stepped aside. Why should I care about the opinions of people who still depend on my family's contracts? I asked. Several guests stiffened. One man demanded, "What makes you think you are better than us?" "Nothing about my body makes me superior," I said. "But if you want to compare influence, every family standing here has an active project with the song group. Insulting me in a hotel lobby while asking my father for money tomorrow is poor strategy." No one answered. Baiji lowered her eyes as if I had wounded her. "Please do not be angry with them. Today is my birthday. Why don't you join us? The Starfall necklace was released this morning. Chen said you might help me get it." Chen finally spoke. "Baiji is trying to include you. Do not be ungrateful. Bring the necklace and come to the private room when you are ready." For years, I had mistaken his entitlement for confidence. "Her birthday has nothing to do with me," I said. "I sponsored her tuition. I did not adopt her. And the Song family has only one daughter." I signaled my security staff and continued to my meeting. Professor Yu was already waiting in a private dining room. His first glance went to the medical sensor hidden beneath my sleeve. "I was afraid you would resume the old restrictions once you came home," he said. "The system expects resistance. Tonight I plan to disappoint it." I ordered grilled fish for him and everything I had spent 3 years being told I should fear for myself: hot pot, crisp pork, rice, milk tea, and a slice of chocolate cake. This was not a reckless eating contest. My doctors had approved the meal, and my body was healthy. The purpose was to act freely while the laboratory recorded how the system responded. I had just tasted the cake when the door flew open. Baiji stood outside, pale with panic. "Song Qingli, stop eating." My guard blocked her before she could reach the table. Chen appeared behind her. His gaze moved from the food to Professor Yu. "So this is how you spent 3 years abroad. Your father hoped you would return with some dignity. Instead, you have given everyone another reason to laugh at the Song family." I took another sip of milk tea. Baiji trembled. The system must have been telling her what was happening even if she could not explain it in public. What does my size have to do with the value of my family or my work? I asked Chen. I could weigh twice as much and still own my shares, my education, and my name. The only people frightened by my dinner are the 2 standing at the door. Someone in the hallway gasped. My dress had loosened at the waist. I had not transformed instantly into my former self, nor did I need to. But the change was measurable. The system had tried to redirect the physical consequence of my meal and, under the interference generated by Professor Yu's equipment, reversed its own channel. A small amount of the health and energy stolen from me returned. Baiji touched her face. A red mark had appeared along her jaw. "I still have a guest," I said. "Please close the door on your way out." After security removed them, Professor Yu placed a report on the table. "The system's signal strengthens whenever you and Baiji are close," he said. Chen Weiyang is linked through a secondary channel. Since you stopped deliberately studying investments, all 6 private projects he launched have lost money. His live stream business is profitable only because 3 major creators are carrying the company. He has hidden the failures to preserve his reputation. And Baiji? Her appearance and health fluctuate with yours. The system can still steal, but it no longer controls the direction reliably. If you continue making choices for yourself instead of trying to produce a specific result, we believe we can force it to expose its full frequency. Then we can isolate it. Destroy it? That would be the safest option, if destruction is possible. I looked at the medical data. Contain it first. We do not yet know how many people it has harmed or whether destroying it would make the transfers permanent. That night, a video of the hotel confrontation spread online. Many comments were cruel, but something unexpected happened. Viewers also praised my clothes, my composure, and my refusal to apologize for taking up space. Women with similar body types asked where I had bought my suit. The attention did not cure me. It did, however, deny Baiji the humiliation she had tried to create. Over the next week, I continued eating normally, sleeping enough, and making decisions without designing my life around the system. Each day, my concentration improved. My body gradually returned to its natural condition. The traits stolen by Baiji began returning too. Her complexion became unstable, and the face that had looked uncannily like mine shifted back toward her original features. The point was not that one face was worthy and another was not. The horror was that she had worn mine while persuading the world that it had always belonged to her. At my welcome reception, Baiji covered her skin with heavy makeup. Chen kept one arm around her shoulders while watching me across the room. Did you have some kind of procedure overseas? Baiji asked. No, I said. But you look unwell. You should see a qualified dermatologist instead of using unregulated treatments. She went rigid. Before binding the system, she had suffered severe reactions to cheap skin products. She had told me about them while applying for my scholarship program. I had paid for her treatment without expecting anything in return. Chen accused me of humiliating her. It was medical advice, I replied. Why are you both so nervous? Then I changed the subject and mentioned problems in the live stream retail industry, creators hiding paid promotions, companies failing to contribute to employee insurance, tax investigations, and reckless expansion into enormous content production campuses. Chen heard opportunity where I had described risk. He had always been intelligent enough to understand markets, but the judgment he stole from me had made success feel effortless. He now believed every casual remark from me concealed a profitable strategy. Within days, he purchased a heavily mortgaged commercial complex and announced an aggressive expansion into live stream retail. I never told him to invest. I never promised that the Song Group would follow. My father and I moved our own capital toward health technology, data security, and regulated consumer services. The Song Group's public relations team discussed the growth of online retail while our compliance office published a formal warning about fraud, undisclosed advertising, and over-leveraged creator agencies. Anyone who read both statements carefully understood our position. Chen read only the praise. Baiji understood sooner. One evening, the floating comments replayed a scene from the villa where she lived with Chen, allowing me to see their argument. Something is wrong, she said. Qingli knows about the system. My face is changing, and she keeps recovering. If she knew, she would not have discussed online retail in front of me, Chen replied. You are panicking because you have gained a little weight. Eat less and stop blaming me. The contempt in his voice revealed how little affection had ever existed between them. Bai Ji had wanted his rising status. Chen had wanted the beauty she stole. Once those borrowed advantages weakened, so did their devotion. 2 weeks later, Capital University invited us to an alumni event. Chen had once been one of its most admired students and was attending as a prominent graduate. I accepted because Professor Yu's team believed the concentration of people connected to our shared past might force the system into a stronger transmission state. By then, my mind was fully clear. I could read a financial report without losing words or feeling my thoughts slide away. My health had stabilized, and I wore a white dress similar to the one I had worn when I first met Chen. Reporters waiting outside the university surrounded me. "Miss Song, how did you recover so quickly? Was it an experimental treatment?" I could not discuss the system, so I told them the useful part of the truth. The Song Group's medical division had spent 3 years building personalized health programs based on blood work, metabolism, mobility, nutrition, and mental well-being. No single diet suited everyone, and no body deserved public punishment. "My treatment was supervised," I said. "Please do not copy a stranger's routine from a video. Get proper medical advice." The interview provided legitimate publicity for our new wellness center without promising impossible results. Inside, Bai Ji hid beneath loose clothing, a hat, and a mask. Seeing her brought back the day we first met. She had arrived at my family home with a sack of produce from her village and thanked me for funding her tuition. She had been a capable student who felt painfully out of place among wealthier classmates. I increased her living allowance, paid for medical treatment, and later offered her an internship. I had never considered her inferior. She had decided that receiving help was humiliation and that stealing my life was justice. Chen approached me after most of our classmates moved away. "Why did you never tell me about the Song Group's health project?" he asked. "Are you managing it?" "I spent 3 years as a patient, not its director. My father hired specialists to develop it." He studied my face, searching for proof of a plot. "You are hiding something. You built your company without my advice. Surely you do not need it now." For the first time, he looked afraid. At that moment, the invisible comments flooded my vision. "The system is losing control. The supporting character has recovered everything. The heroine cannot hold the system. It is trying to change hosts." Across the hall, Bai Ji doubled over. A pressure like static swept through my body and vanished. In Professor Yu's mobile laboratory beneath the auditorium, the containment field activated. My phone rang. "We have it," he said. I left the event immediately. Inside a sealed chamber in the laboratory, a sphere of white light struck the transparent walls again and again. Each impact produced a faint electrical crackle. The comments had disappeared from my vision, but a synthetic voice filled the room through the monitoring system. "Song Qingli. Accept me as your host. I can exchange anything. Beauty, intelligence, wealth, affection, luck. Exchange requires consent and equal value," I said. "You took my health and judgment without permission. What did you give me in return?" "Adversity. Growth. A chance to become stronger." "Professor, you gave me a disbelieving look." "That is not payment," I said. "That is how thieves describe the damage they cause." The system offered to return everything if I released it. "First, provide a complete record of every transfer you have made." The light went silent. Its refusal confirmed that Bai Ji and Chen were not the only people involved. Destroying it immediately might strand stolen traits in unknown hosts or worsen the damage to victims. Keeping it in a private corporate laboratory was equally unacceptable. I called my father and asked him to contact the National Science and Public Security authorities. We transferred the laboratory, equipment, and research under a formal containment agreement. The system could not be activated, assigned to a new host, or used on human subjects. An independent ethics panel would oversee every experiment. The Song family received compensation for its equipment and transparent research contracts for detection technology, but no one in my family controlled the system itself. Professor Yu became scientific director of the joint investigation. Within a month, his team decoded the transfer ledger. The system had tested minor exchanges on dozens of people before binding itself to Bai Ji. Most victims had lost small amounts of concentration, stamina, confidence, or good health and had blamed themselves. Under controlled conditions, the researchers reversed the active transfers and returned what could safely be restored. Bai Ji and Chen regained only what had originally belonged to them. Without my judgment, Chen could no longer hide the weaknesses in his company. 3 leading creators were arrested during investigations into tax evasion, fraudulent sales, and undisclosed payments. Employees produced records showing that Chen's company had withheld benefits and manipulated contracts. The enormous creator commerce complex drained the last of its cash. Creditors filed suit, investors withdrew, and the 6 failed projects he had concealed became public. His reputation as an infallible investment prodigy collapsed because it had never been supported by honest results. Bai Ji lost endorsement contracts after investigators proved that she had submitted falsified medical claims and misleading advertising materials. I refused requests to release private footage of her appearance changing. Her body was not evidence of wrongdoing. Financial records, messages to the system, and contracts signed under false pretenses were. She and Chen turned on each other. Each insisted that the other had proposed using the system. Their villa was sold to satisfy creditors, and both faced civil claims. Chen was later convicted of fraud and financial violations. Bai Ji received a reduced sentence for cooperating with investigators and identifying other victims, but she remained responsible for the transfers she had requested knowingly. On the opening day of the Song Wellness and Recovery Center, they waited outside the media entrance. Bai Ji stepped into my path. You knew from the moment you returned. You encouraged Chen to expand, let the system reverse, and watched us lose everything. Why couldn't someone with your advantages leave us one way to survive? I did not make Chen falsify accounts, cheat employees, or ignore risk warnings, I said. And I did not make you steal my health. You gave me clothes you no longer wanted and called it kindness. Do you know how humiliating it was to see that one pair of your shoes cost more than years of my tuition? I understand that inequality can be painful, I said. What I do not accept is the claim that pain entitled you to another person's body and mind. I paid your tuition, medical care, and living expenses because you were talented. I offered you a position at the Song Group with a professional salary and a path to equity. You could have built an independent life. Her eyes filled with tears. You would always have more. Probably. I was born into wealth, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. That privilege gives me responsibilities. It does not make me public property. You were entitled to fair opportunities, not ownership of me. Chen laughed bitterly. Easy to say when your family can rescue you from every failure. My family gave me another chance. The people you deceived did not receive one. That is why your remaining assets belong to your creditors and employees before they belong to you. Security approached, but I raised a hand. I wanted them to hear the final truth. Neither of you was helpless. Bai Ji, you ranked near the top of our class before the system. Chen, you entered Capital University on your own examination results. You had enough ability to live well. What ruined you was not a lack of luck. It was the belief that anything desirable could be taken if you wanted it badly enough. They had no answer. After the legal cases ended, Baiji joined a supervised restitution program and worked to repay victims whose losses could be measured. Chen spent several years in prison and was barred from managing public investments after his release. Their consequences came from documented choices, not from their looks, their backgrounds, or my desire for revenge. Professor Yu's team eventually developed a detector capable of identifying the system's signature before it could bind to another host. The original sphere remained inactive inside a government containment facility. Its transfer function was never approved for use. Technology capable of redistributing a person's health or mind without consent was not a national advantage. It was a weapon. The Song Group funded long-term treatment for the system's victims and published the medical findings that could safely be shared. I joined the company's strategy committee after completing an independent assessment of my recovered health. This time, every success came from decisions I remembered making and work I knew was mine. The floating comments appeared once more on the anniversary of my return. The supporting character escaped her ending. No, another message corrected. She stopped being a supporting character. I smiled and closed the financial report in front of me. I had not defeated fate by becoming beautiful, thin, or wealthy again. I had defeated it by reclaiming the right to decide what happened to my own body, mind, and future. Whatever came next would not be an exchange arranged by a thief. It would be my life, chosen and lived by me.